Is that who they're playing live?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
It's her.
Hello, it's Reverend Pat Bessie here with Reverend LeRoy Lowell, ready to give you an evening meditation. I hope that you have had a good day. It has been beautiful here in Casco, Maine, and I got out for a walk a little bit today, and I'm just really happy to be here with you. And I just want to speak to those of you that are sheltering in place alone. I can only imagine how difficult that is, having no one to actually have in your physical space. Hopefully some of you have an animal, a cat or a dog, which helps during this time. But just know that I am holding you in my thoughts and prayers, and can only imagine how difficult that might be. I'm looking in the chat line, and I see Lisa Winslow's here. Hi, Lisa. So glad to see you. And I'm going to start this evening with, and there's Paula McGinnis just came on. First of all, there was one other thing I wanted to share. Our board had our board meeting last night. And as you well know, for those of you that live here in Maine, that Governor Mills kept the shelter-in-place order in effect until the end of May. And so we will be honoring that. We will be still doing our services from home and staying at home, only going out for the essentials. And then beyond that, we will just see what happens. But for the month of May, we will be still broadcasting from right here in our home. And so with that being said, I do want to share with you a reading, and it comes out of this little book. It's called Renewal, and it says it's a little book of courage and hope, and it's written by Eknath Eshwan. And the reading that I want to share with you tonight, before Rev Leroy does the meditation, is called A Continuing Source of Joy. And this quote comes from Mahatma Gandhi. I believe that if one man gains spiritually, the whole world gains with him. And if one man falls, the whole world falls to that extent. And what that says to me is that just what we've been saying about what's happening, we are all in this together. When one person gains, everybody gains. It reads, we are all inclined to get overwhelmed at times and to ask, what can I, one person, do to right problems like pollution and hunger? Gandhi's reply is simple but challenging. You just raise your own consciousness and you will raise the consciousness of the entire world. That is what he did. All of us can give a great gift to the world by looking at our life and gradually removing from it the things that are not simple and beautiful. I think we're having that opportunity as we are sheltering in place to prioritize, to really look at what is important. What are the things that have meaning for me? He goes on to say, I am terribly saddened to see in the papers how many people, both old and young, are sleeping through cold winter nights under the bridges and on the pavement in San Francisco. Can you imagine? Even in the richest country on the face of the earth, many people have no place to sleep. I regard these people as my kith and kin, just as I regard the hungry children of Africa as my own. That is what happens when you begin to be aware that the self, the Lord of love, dwelling in your heart, is the same as the self in all these desperate people. When you see this unity, you will find a continuing source of joy in making wise use of your money, your time, your energy, your resources in the service of all. And for that, I again think about, we talk often about raising consciousness, that's what we're here to do, is to raise consciousness. And to also remember that when we see another person, we are looking at God. We are looking into the face of God with every individual that we come in contact with. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Reverend LeRoy. And I'm also going to say hi to Dawn Lavoie. How are you, Dawn? And Elizabeth Peterson is on with us. Hi, Elizabeth. So here comes Reverend LeRoy.
I ain't as young as I used to be, so it takes me a little bit harder to get sat in a chair, or whatever it is. One of the first thoughts that come to my mind just before Pat told me it was time for me to get up here was, what happens when we meditate? And there's a story by Thich Nhat Hanh when he was up in his monastery, his ashram in France. He used to take care of the little children when the parents went away to work. And one day he fed them some apple juice, and it was apple cider, and it was homemade. So when he got it ready to serve, it was, it was pretty fogged up. And a while the kids went out and had their apple juice, and they went out and played. And a while later, a little girl come running up to him and said, Grandfather, look at this. The apple juice is clear. It must have meditated. So that's what we meditate for. We meditate to get clear. We meditate to clear our mind up. So I was thinking tonight we'll do another centering meditation. And we'll take our time doing that. And I'm meditating. And so, in centering meditation, centering prayer, we do a little reading, and then we do the prayer. And when we do that, we sit into silence. And we and while we're preparing for that, we have to pick out if you don't do centering prayer regular, you'll have to pick out a centering word, so that when when your mind starts running like the mind will do, the heart, the heart beats, the lungs breathe, and the mind thinks. So when it starts thinking, just visualize them thoughts as little boats floating down the stream. The good news is we don't have to get into them. And if you do get into the boat and into that thought, that's what your centering word is for. Your centering word is to bring you back to center. The one that I use, Jesus, for centering word. Matter of fact, I use the short version, the version of the Jesus prayer of Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. But that's what I use to center me. I've used that for years and years and years, and it works real well for me. So what I'll do, excuse me, what I will do is I will start us in the meditation. I'll be ringing the bell. I'll ring the bell 3 times, and then I'll lead us into the quiet time, and then we'll after about 15 minutes we'll ring the bell again, and that'll be the end of the time. And I will say the little prayer that I usually say when we get done meditating. So get comfortable in your seat. It's best to have a straight up back, neck straight, feet on the floor so you're grounded. Get real comfortable in your seat. Be aware of any sounds around you. The temperature. Any smells. Take a deep breath and let it go. Take another deep breath and let it go. Become conscious of the breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And remember, if you get into one of them boats running through the stream of your mind, if you catch hold of that thought, use your centering word to take you back. And it might be something like, just as simple as saying that word. Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Or Buddha, or whatever your sacred word is. It could be green trees or blooming daffodils or something that's sacred to you. Now we'll go into the silence. We just say, thank you, God, for this time in conscious and compassionate silence. And remember that compassion for oneself is the beginning of compassion for all. And so it is. Amen.